There's a lot of streaming services out there, each filled with reality TV, comedy, drama, and of course, superheroes. But there's one dedicated entirely to nonfiction TV and documentary films, and that's Curiosity Stream. History, science, nature, we've got it. Space, dinosaurs, big cats, we've got that too. And pretty much anything else you want to explore. Go ahead, add some smart TV to your smart TV with Curiosity Stream. Go to curiositystream.com to sign up and start streaming today.
Odyssey's going back to school, and we've got all the supplies you need, like A+ exclusive music stations and podcasts to help you or your student excel. Wake up and get the school day started with Acoustic Sunrise, the best mix of acoustic pop. Hit the books with classical Odyssey, passionate classical music to help you focus while you study. Listen to essential school podcasts like Grammar Girl's Quick and Dirty Tips for Better Writing, and be inspired with TED Talks Daily. Get back to school with new exclusive stations, plus all your favorite local radio stations and podcasts on Odyssey.
It's Mike Shope.
Why don't you come up front?
I'm okay.
Come on up front.
I'm good.
Are you serious?
Yeah, why? What's the difference?
I'm not going to drive you around like I'm your chauffeur. Get in the front seat, all right?
You're not driving me around like I'm a chauffeur with 2 minutes from the rehearsal hall.
And the Bulldog.
You know, what kind of person asks another person to drive them around like this? This kind of mentality is what's...
Whoa, what kind of person is so insecure that they have to make somebody move into the front seat so they don't think that they're driving somebody around?
No, the kind of person that's so insecure that needs to be driven around in the back seat.
Nothing to do with me being driven around.
You need me to drive
Why do I
you
have to
around?
leave my seat, go into the front seat?
Because I asked you to sit in the front seat of my car, and it's my car.
On WGR.
We would have already been there already.
Yes,
oh,
you would have.
Oh, you can't drive with somebody in the back seat.
Yeah, you're such a baby. You're
I'm not
a grown man baby. You know what? Little baby wants to ride, we'll give little baby a ride.
You know what?
Okay?
Little baby wants to walk.
No.
Sports Radio 550.
Thinking of like a welcome home or something sort of comment for Andrew Filipponi, but I hate that in sports. I hate that. Like a player goes to a team and he used to play for them or he didn't, some welcome home. The Arizona Coyotes trade for somebody and I don't know, maybe they're from Nevada. Oh, well, close enough. Welcome home. Igor. I'm not here for that. I'm not doing it. Andrew's been a lot of places. It's not like he was born here. Or even that his career was born here. Where was your career? Where would you say? Where was your career born?
I would say probably at the student radio station at Syracuse when I stumbled in there, happened to bag one day. And then I guess the rest is history. You know what you should do, Mike? You should have, like teams do when a player comes back for the first time and there's a montage and the crowd is expected to cheer the guy. You should have, like, a bunch of clips from me, like when I took Kiss in the first, I think it was a city draft.
Detroit.
I don't remember. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
things like that. Just clips here and there, memorable moments that the two of us have shared together on the air. If
only we had thought to prepare that. I didn't even think I just called you spur of the moment today because of the Roethlisberger news. Andrew Filipponi, 93.7 The Fan in Pittsburgh, WGR alum. So the Steelers go and win here week 1. Not a shocking result, but, impressive and mildly surprising. The Bills then respond by going to Miami and maybe winning 35-0 on an off day. And I don't know, I'm going to ask you about Pittsburgh side of this, Andrew. I don't know if anybody's happy. Right? No, because the Steelers won a game that they were expected to lose because they've got this patchwork offensive line. Najee Harris making his first start in the NFL, his first game. The defense wasn't expected to be at its best because T.J. Watt had missed a ton of training camp during his hold-in. And so Bills, highest scoring team in the AFC last year, a lot of continuity, offensive coordinator back with Josh Allen. I just assumed that the Steelers were going to get blown out. And then they win, and it's outside of the Saints' victory over the Packers, probably the most impressive win in week 1. And so to come back home and to have your quarterback hit 10 times on plays where the Raiders didn't blitz, you had 39 rushing yards, your defense was really banged up and gave up huge plays in critical moments. And so I guess water found its level, Mike, but we're back to square one with the Steelers where
Probably a team right around 500 before the season started. What are they? 8-9 win team, right smack dab in the middle. And I think the results of the first 2 weeks of the season reflect that.
I think the minimum good year for the Steelers would be one playoff win. And maybe you'd say that that's not even that good or good enough for them because it's a Super Bowl franchise. The quarterback, the coach. Go ahead.
Well, I think that the expectations here are watered way down. They're probably going into the season the lowest that I've ever seen, Mike. I really think given all of the changes, they lost Dupree in free agency. I really think that if they were to just make the playoffs, if they win 9 games and they're competitive in the first round, I think a ton of Steelers fans would tell you that that's a good year. Now, my issue with that is, and the reason why I don't really agree with that, Mike, is if you do it with a 39-year-old quarterback,
right?
Okay, where do you go from there? You're kind of the Colts from a year ago. Do you bring Phillip Rivers back? This organization, I think, feels loyal to Ben, and there's a lot of emotion and sentimentality that's wrapped up in there because he's won them 2 Super Bowls, and he's never had a losing season. And I think if that happened, they would tell him, hey, if you want to come back at 40, you can, but you wouldn't be any closer to winning a Super Bowl. So I think the Steelers are really stuck in that middle. They're almost – the problem is they're so good defensively that I think that they refuse to reload or rebuild on offense with a new quarterback because they're afraid they're going to squander golden years of their defense with guys like Watt and Minka. But at the same time, Mike, they're going to squander it with a 39-year-old Big Ben anyways.
That's so bad. That's terrible if that's true. The drafting Harris is terrible. I mean, all this is terrible. Like they always have had a hard decision out there in the future. Like we get to that point in life where you have to make that decision. I don't want to be inappropriate with a comparison, but I'm thinking of a certain one. You have to get to that point where you have to say, you know what? Nope, it's over. So the Steelers just put that off. I accept and agree with you that fans might, whether they're Steeler fans or just football fans, might be reasonably impressed with a playoff season that just goes right out, like last year was, only without as many wins. But how in any way is that good for the Pittsburgh Steelers? Like, there's no benefit in that. They're not that franchise. The Bills were 2 or 3 years ago. Like the Jaguars are that franchise. Make the playoffs. Everybody goes to the airport. That's not the Pittsburgh Steelers. With this quarterback, you replace Roethlisberger with a rookie or something instead and make the playoffs. That's great. That would be really cool. But that's not what they did.
No, and I even advocated back in March, even though I think the guy stinks. I would have preferred if you're gonna take Mason Rudolph and claim that the guy has a chance to be a franchise quarterback. All right, let's see what he does this year. And if you go 5-12, there's a payoff because you're in position where you can move around the draft to get your next franchise quarterback. There's also the added benefit, Mike, that by getting Ben off the books and not feeling like you're beholden to him, that you have every option available to you. You can draft your quarterback of the future. Great. There seems to be more and more of those guys available now. If there was a Matt Stafford situation next offseason, hell, you could even get in the Aaron Rodgers sweepstakes if you wanted to. I mean, they have right now that has more cap space than them for next year is the Jets. So they have the type of flexibility that most NFL general managers would crave. They'd love to be in a situation like this. Stable ownership, tons of cap space, some defensive stars that give you a good foundation. But I'm afraid that they're just going to let Ben Roethlisberger tell them when he's done. And, that might come this year. We were talking about this on our show today, Mike, because I do a show with Arthur Moats on Tuesdays. I said, we might have a situation like when you put Favre out here. Like, this line is so bad that, on a human level, he should do a show with Ben. I'm not convinced he's going to make it through this season in one piece, and I'm afraid that he's going to take a big hit that, speeds up and accelerates his decision-making on whether or not he wants to play football beyond this year.
That hasn't already just happened, has it, by the way?
Well, it kind of looked like it on Sunday against the Raiders, didn't it, with some of those hits?
Yeah, and he's hurt.
This pectoral thing. Yeah, and we'll see. I mean, they're trying to make it sound like it's no big deal. Ben talks tomorrow. He's really never been – he doesn't subscribe to the football code or the hockey code of, keep the injuries close to the vest. He'll tell you everything. He's always been super honest and probably has exaggerated the severity of some of his injuries over the years. But
yes.
Look, right? I mean, he's as glib as it gets when it comes to stuff like this for whatever reason. So, yeah, I think a lot of the encouraging things that I saw from Roethlisberger in the fourth quarter, making plays against the Bills, not putting up huge numbers, but making plays that helped orchestrate a 10-point comeback. Much of that went up in flames when we watched the offensive line's performance against the Bills, and they get what they pay for. They've only got invested in the line, which is the least amount of money in the NFL by far.
I'm always interested in your life, even though we don't talk very often. I know you do.
My fantasy teams are all 0-2.
How many?
Every league that I'm in
is it?
Every league that I'm in gives a quarterback 6 points down instead of 4.
Yep.
So I made the conscious decision in those leagues. I went all in on Herbert, Mike. I went all in. Every, fifth round in those drafts, fifth, sixth round, I took Herbert. And it was excruciating. It was I did not have a lot of money bet on that game, but watching that game against the Cowboys almost gave me a heart attack. They moved the ball up and down the field, and they killed themselves in the red zone every time. So he has not panned out yet, but I'm committed to Herbert. I bet on Herbert the same way. Didn't you bet on Lamar Jackson a couple of years ago and won all your leagues?
Yeah.
Didn't you do that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
And some of those were dynasty leagues, and guess how many I won last year?
Yeah, it's not working out for me so far with him. I love Herbert. I thought he was going to throw 50 touchdown passes.
We were talking
17-game season.
Joe and I were talking about him earlier. So what's sort of confounding to me about them or him is last year it was like a consensus. This is the greatest rookie quarterback season ever, right? Statistically, he was that. And, this year...
The line was awful. He got no protection.
No
he
help.
Threw all those touchdown passes. Yep.
Right. Everybody got hurt. Anthony Lynn holding them back and everything like this.
Yep.
So, every reason to think that Herbert was just, great. 18th in the league in points. Then this year starts. New coach. Oh, they got a Rams coach, especially. Everybody's healthy, and it's all looking good. They scored, how many points in Washington? 20 or 23? And then 17 against Dallas. Where are the touchdowns?
Yep. And I stacked him with Keenan Allen in both of those leagues too, and he can't score. That's the story of my teams. That's fantasy football bad luck. I got guys that have yardage like you can't believe, but none of them can score touchdowns, which I guess the analytical side of me would say that it's just a matter of time. But sometimes it's not with these things. I don't know.
You want
what you want so far.
You want end zone targets. That's what you want. You want guys who get Devontae Adams, Seattle. You want end zone targets. That's what you want. But I don't know how Keenan Allen rates in that area. So you have some or have had some sort of affiliation with a local car wash. Am I correct?
Yes. Yep.
Joe. So Bulldog and Joe and I each separately fell for the unlimited car wash option, right? And I haven't talked to you about this in a while. I don't know where you. I did see a tweet from you about that you think 70% of the time you don't need ever when you go into the car wash to turn the steering wheel. You are perfectly right in line.
I line it up and I don't need the guy standing there to
pointing.
Point left or point right. I'm hitting it. I've had a lot of practice.
So today I went to the car wash, and I pull up, and there's not the attendant in there to tell me that I'm on the track and to give me the preliminary spray before I go through.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And I said to myself, I will wait here for 2 minutes, and if I don't see that attendant, I'm just leaving. I do not trust myself to get on that ramp on my own, on the track.
I had a car.
So I guess I'm not good at it. I guess I second guess myself.
I had a car where I had a tough time getting it into neutral. Like you had to be sort of like a certain kind of a twist motion to get it into neutral, and that sort of took me off of car washes because I did not want to ever not be able to put the car in neutral when that like it's got to be quick. So I would stop going to car washes. Then this car I have, there's a button, and so that with the button now I have unlimited car wash. But what a life, you know? Like why do I need it? We've been talking about this now and again. People tweet us with how they get through the car wash and then they just turn right around and go back in so they can feel like they're getting their money's worth. Like that's incredible.
This is going to make me sound like I have no life and that really I'm just a lazy person that, you know, takes small wins and small victories wherever and whenever I can. I look at going through the car wash almost the same way I look at a 30-minute walk. Like I somehow put it in the category of, Andrew, before you went into work, you did something productive today. And I really should not look at it that way. But when you work in the afternoons like we do and you kind of have schedules that are a little bit off, if I leave my house by 9 a.m. or 10 a.m. and I stop at the car wash, I feel like I did something with my morning.
I think
right?
that can be okay as long as you didn't just get your car washed. Then it's really, I don't know, that's definitely stretching it then. You can't just turn right around and go back in.
I've never done that, by the way. I don't think I've ever seen anybody do it.
Do you really go into?
I think that goes against the spirit of the unlimited. You know,
it does. Do you really go into work that early?
I exaggerated a little bit. I start an hour before you guys, so I like to get in around, I don't know, like 11. To me, and I don't know if you feel this way, Mike. Basically, I'm not a bar guy, really. I'm not like a fitness club guy. You know, I'm not a member of any of these like VAs or like Elks clubs or anything social groups like that. Yes. The radio station is basically my social club. I get in there, I fraternize, I talk to people, I joke around. It's like I guess maybe for some people like a barber shop.
Are there enough people in your workplace?
Oh yeah,
I know you do. I know you do. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. I was just in Las Vegas. Yeah. We were texting about that a little bit.
My wife was there. You guys should have met up.
I didn't see her. No, I didn't see her.
See, I don't think that would be inappropriate. I think if Carolyn was down here, she texted me. I don't think it would be weird if the two of us just went to lunch or dinner. Do you?
No.
Now, some people get offended by their, like, you know what I'm trying to say? I think like you have to have a certain confidence in yourself, but you also have a certain level of trust in your friend that a situation like that isn't weird. But I would have been perfectly fine if you two guys met up for drinks or went out to dinner together.
I would have enjoyed it. I wish I had any time to do anything like that, but
you were just drafting nonstop.
And then I did this show from there 3 times.
And then I heard somebody say, "Was it you that or was it your co-host on your show that said his laptop wasn't charged and he had to draft without any material?"
That was Joe, maybe, or
no? That was the bare knuckles.
Oh, that was my draft. One of the drafts in Las Vegas, the bare knuckle challenge is when nobody has any notes or phone or anything. You just have to do it from memory.
Oh, I like that.
That was after the Dallas-Tampa Bay game. So we're all pretty much fried. I had a draft in the morning, and then this show, and then the game, and then that. And that was 28 rounds.
Yeah.
With no information and a 30-second clock. Nope, Andrew, you would have loved it. Nobody timed out. I don't think I did that well. I think I'm sitting like 9th through 2 weeks. Not great, but nobody timed out. It was a very tough room. You'd probably expect that. People are flying to Las Vegas and paying that kind of money to play in that. You would think they would take it seriously, but that was a really cool experience. That was really hard.
So I feel like with you, the fantasy football's kind of turned into a lifestyle, no?
Yes. I mean, this is where I tell you what I'm not proud of, but, pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. It is kind of taken over. You are correct.
And is the whole whole Shope clan, the family, are they all in on it too?
Not
like
really.
when Dad says, "Hey, I'm going out to Las Vegas for a bare knuckle draft," are they giving you little pieces of advice? Hey, Dad, make sure you come back with
DK Metcalf.
Yes, exactly.
My son wants
Are they
me.
encouraging?
I sort of asked Julius just kind of to be funny, like, who should I come home from this draft with? He's like, DK Metcalf. Like, that was like,
You call
obviously.
Carolyn before you go to bed. Does she want a full recap? Does she want a play-by-play? No. Summary of what happened?
No. Amazingly, not really. But we are in a little family league together for very small change, and I'm 0-2 to bring it all back together, to bring it all full circle here. I am 0-2 in that league. Andrew, always a pleasure. I wish we talked more.
Mike, absolutely. Anytime you need me, I'm here, brother.
Thank you. And
guys.
Andrew Filipponi, Pony Express on Twitter, 93.7 The Fan in Pittsburgh. I talked with, it's going to sound like I'm bragging the way I started this sentence. I talked with Sam Monson of PFF. He's on the show every Tuesday, and really smart guy. I mean, this was about Josh Allen and his, slow start, right? So what do you do about it? How do you predict the future with Allen, with last year having happened, but his career prior to that? From a guy at PFF, and PFF, those guys sort of got hounded, I can relate a little bit, for not loving him the whole time. So about that, Sam Monson and other subjects when we return here on WGR.
The world moves pretty fast. 1 minute you're standing, the next you're dragging. How can you keep up? I'll tell you. I'm Ira Madison III, host of Keep It. Each week, Louis Vertel, Aida Osman, and I do the hard work of exploring the intersection between entertainment, culture, and politics, with guests like Billy Porter, Catherine O'Hara, Ronan Farrow, Francesca Ramsey, and more. New episodes of Keep It drop every Wednesday. Listen on Odyssey, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
There's a lot of streaming services out there, each filled with reality TV, comedy, drama, and of course, superheroes. But there's one dedicated entirely to nonfiction TV and documentary films, and that's Curiosity Stream. History, science, nature, we've got it. Space, dinosaurs, big cats, we've got that too. And pretty much anything else you want to explore. Go ahead, add some smart TV to your smart TV with Curiosity Stream. Go to curiositystream.com to sign up and start streaming today.